So we're right into award season, the time when people look back over the last 12 months and try and judge the best films they've seen. And just before the end of the year, here on the Kermode Uncut blog, I did my bottom 10 films of the year, the worst films that I'd seen that year. And many of you have written in saying, well, that's great, but where's your top 10 list? Well, I did do it, or top 11, because I couldn't get everything into the top 10 on the Radio 5 Christmas show. Here's a recap, and listen carefully, because there's a question at the end. Number 11, Tyrannosaur, which I thought was a terrific directorial debut for Paddy Considine, a really tough film with great performances. At number 10, Kill List. That really rare thing, a horror movie that genuinely managed to scare me, make me feel oppressed, make me feel uneasy. That doesn't happen that often. At 9, Hugo. I thought Martin Scorsese actually did something interesting with 3D. That doesn't mean I like 3D, the whole thing, the blog I did, that was a joke, okay? But I do think that Scorsese did something interesting with it in Hugo. At 8, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Thomas Alfredson back on top form. The man who gave us Let the Right One In, doing something really interesting with a spy story. And of course, we all know about that film. It's not about spying, it's about men not trusting each other. At 7, Melancholia. Lesson of this is, watch the film, don't listen to what Lars von Trier says about it in public. In fact, you won't have to, because as you know, Lars von Trier has declared that he's never going to say anything again in public, which is probably a good move. At 6, Senna. An extraordinary piece of work, a documentary about Formula One racing. I could care less about Formula One racing, but I loved Senna, and we know for a fact that Senna is not in the run for an Oscar. So I think it's got a very strong chance of winning something at the Kermode Awards, which are coming up pretty soon. At 5, A Separation, a wonderful Iranian drama, so many terrific movies coming out of Iran, but that was one that really hit home, that I think really caught the imagination of the audience, and I think it's one of those films that will stay around for a very long time, a wonderful, moving, profound work. At 4, The Artist, everyone else's favourite film of the year, and I can see why. I mean, I love it to pieces. How fabulous to see a black and white silent movie, or nearly silent movie, doing so well. I have to say, I think it's not only going to get nominated for Best Film at the Oscars, I think it's going to win. If you haven't seen it yet, go out and see it. It's really, really fabulous. At 3, Bender Belili, one of those films that just reaffirms your faith in life. It's a film about music, it's a film about people overcoming extraordinary odds. It's a documentary on one level about Congolese skiffle, and yet it's so much more than that. At 2, La Quattrovolti, the film which I keep struggling not to describe as the silent Italian goat farming movie, because I know what that makes it sound like, but if I say it's a film about life, the universe and everything, that just sounds trite. La Quattrovolti is so wonderful, so moving, and so fantastically indescribable. But at number 1, no surprises here, my favourite film of last year, we need to talk about Kevin. Lynne Ramsay back on wonderful form after a really, really long absence. She struggled for a long time to get an adaptation of The Lovely Bones off the ground. It never happened, but in the end, we need to talk about Kevin, and that was my favourite film of the year.
I mean, it's got so bad that half the time the people on TV, they're watching TV. What are all these people watching? People like me.
Now, you may well notice that there are 3 unexpected omissions from that list. Films which I've said that I really loved during the year that you would have expected perhaps to see in my top 10. They are, notably, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which I only saw at the end of the year. It came out in the middle of the year, but I was off when it came out. I finally saw it on Blu-ray. I loved it. He'd done something really interesting with Conquest of the Planet of the Apes and breathed new life into the Apes saga. Super 8, a reminder of those wonderful Spielberg movies from the 1970s, a film that was about kids but was also for adults, a film that entire families could watch together and all enjoy the same things at the same time, and a genuinely spectacular train wreck, but the special effects never obscured the story. But the greatest omission, the one that has worried me the most, is of course Nick Refn's Drive, the film that I raved about when it first came out. I really loved it. It's a brilliant directorial work by him. I think a career best performance for Ryan Gosling, an extraordinary soundtrack, the whole film designed within an inch of its life, and I know that you liked it as much as I did. So why isn't it in that list? Well, I struggled. I really, really tried to find a space for it. As I said, I gave myself 11 rather than 10, but I still couldn't find anywhere for it to go. But since I left it out, I've genuinely lost sleep about it, and I've had loads of people say to me, how dare you leave Drive out of your top 11? So here's the thing, here's my agreement. Look, okay, you can have Drive, but in order to have it, you have to tell me which one of those titles in my top 11 would have to go. Because believe me, I've wrestled with it, I've looked at every single one of them, and I cannot find a single one of that top 11 that I think does not deserve to be there. Over to you, see if you find it easier than I did.